Alright, so here they are. It's a universal 3-inch aluminum charge pipe. Comes with some boots. Comes with some bends, some straight pieces. And then this was the old, what we used to have. And I mean, as you can see, big difference. Like go over the flipping this thing all around, messing up the camera. Yeah, close. Big difference. Alright guys, so out with the old. Since I'm not running the stock ECM anymore and I'd have to run a separate light for this, I don't feel like dealing with that right now. This is pretty much a dummy light. This is what turns on your oil light to tell you that you have no oil pressure. So instead of running this, I'm taking this out and we're just going to change it over to an actual gauge, and I'll have an analog gauge on oil pressure so I can see exactly how much pressure I'm making, instead of having just a dummy light to tell me when I have none. And that'll go right there in the little T that I have, and I'll route it up into the dash. Get that down on there, we'll get that tight. Then when we get that done, I'll run all this hose up into the firewall. But for the time being, I got it draped over the strut bars, that way it just kind of hangs out of my way. Alright, so got this cut. So now I got 3 gauges. We got the air fuel ratio Innovate eBay boost gauge and a manual oil pressure gauge. That way I can keep up with my oil pressure in the motor. But we got those. I went here working on getting all the stuff ran out, like the vacuum hose that goes to the boost gauge and all that kind of stuff, so I can get it hooked up as I put it in. Sorry. I'll show you more as I do that. Alright, so we got the vacuum line ran. It comes out from the intake manifold. Comes in here teased to this little short line right here. That'll actually come out in here, and then this other part runs over there to the map sensor on my standalone. So I got to I'm gonna put some zip ties on these so that way they don't blow off, seeing how they're behind the dash. I don't want to have to deal with them again. You know, some preventative maintenance type thing, so that way I don't have to deal with it later. And we'll have that done, and I'll work on actually getting the gauges in right here. Alright, so I got it done, and the zip ties are on it, and now I'm going to work on trying to get the gauges in. Alright, so there we go. That's what it's going to look like. The boost gauge is hooked up. I still got to run the actual wires, but they're in there. We're working on it. I still got to get the gauge cluster. That's my next big thing. Alright, so my screws weren't long enough, so instead of having to get a longer screw, I just made it to where the feet actually set up through here, and then I'll get a washer and put it on the back here and put the screws on, and that'll hold it. But the funny thing is now it literally just stays on there, so it's almost like it's mounted now anyways. I still got the protective case on the screen, but yeah, it literally hangs out on there. So, but we'll get this set in here real quick, plugged up, give you an idea. Got it plugged up in here, and then it takes a little power cable, and it takes a HDMI that I've already ran up here from the other videos I showed you with the Raspberry Pi. That's mounted right there, and alright, so I still got to pull the protective layer off, so yeah, but it's in there. We got it installed. It's plugged up. The wires are ran. I get some power on it here in a second. Show you what it looks like. Give you all a reminder. So I got the line ran into the engine bay, from the engine bay into the car for the gauge, for the oil pressure gauge. I zip tied it to kind of keep it tucked down, and then it goes up through that hole. But I'll probably end up changing it. That's going to work for the time being. It'll show me oil pressure. That way I know I'm good. Trying to get this shit knocked out, make sure it's safe, make sure I can check everything on it whenever I go to crank it up. Everything's proper. But got that done today. Got the gauge in there. Got the boost gauge hooked up through the vacuum lines. Got the vacuum line that's, I pull the dash out. I'm just gonna be all weird looking for y'all, but right there. And got that vacuum line on the side of the Mega Squirt, which is actually the map sensor. And then got the gauge cluster installed today. I actually gotta put screws in it, but it's at least sitting there pretty sturdy right now. So, yep, that's in there. Need to get this actually attached and hooked up to where they work, but it's getting there. Here soon. It's gonna look nice. Okay, so something's up with my wires. I'm about to bring the pie back down. I'm probably gonna have to buy wires. The fucking end of the cables, the end of the cables are messed up, and so I'm probably gonna have to buy them. So I can't exactly get it cut on at the moment, but this gives you a little idea of what I'm working with. And then as soon as I get some cables where I can get it cut on or figure out what's going on, I'll show y'all. What is up, guys? I don't know if you'll exactly be able to hear me because we got a compressor over here running so they can sandblast right now. But right here's where the welder's set up. That way I can get this stuck together. But I done got both of them cleaned. This is the rag from where I cleaned them. I wiped them down inside and on the outside on both. And then I'll take we'll take this filler rod. Hold on. Alright, so we'll take a filler rod and then we'll clean it. But let me get the rest of this put back up. Alright. Talk about the wood. And then now turn this over. Hold on. That's a little bit you get off the rod. Alright, so I got the first parts tacked together. It blew through right there, so I have to fix that. But we got it tacked, got it on there, got the end cut. I'm going to take this piece and I gotta take this piece back off and go, but I've marked it. Let me see the Sharpie marks where they match up, and it puts it down this way, and we'll get that tacked in place and I'll show y'all from there. Alright, so I got that piece marked and ready to cut, and I also brought this piece over here. We got both these pieces marked up at the same time, so I can just go ahead and cut both of them. I'll show you when I'm done. Alright, so I got it mostly put together. It's tacked in place. It doesn't look as pretty as I wanted it to, but I'm going to wrap it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. The butt ups weren't quite perfect, so I blew through a couple spots, but we got it tacked into place. And then I got the hole drilled for the bung for the O2 sensor. Here it is. And this goes right over this. And then we'll weld that in, and we'll purge the whole system while we finish welding it up. And then the exhaust pipe will be finished coming out the fender. I hadn't decided whether or not I want to just come straight out or if I want to kick it up yet, but this right here at least comes out to about where the bumper is. So alright, so I installed a T that was my boost line or vacuum line that went from the intake and then up in there into the gauge, and then it came down here to the regulator. I teed off of it right here, and We'll run this up under here like so and hook it on here. And then now that's on there. We'll have to zip tie that down out of the way. Oh damn. Ugh. Let's see here. Pull you back out my way. And then I'm gonna pull this vacuum line. We're gonna run it down here under all this. Damn it, I keep pulling the wrong side. And once we get all that run up under here, I'll get that shit attached down here to the frame rail. And then this is going to run all the way down up here to the Mac valve and to the wastegate. So I just got to put a T right down in here. And as soon as I get that T installed, I'll show y'all that. Alright guys, this is all I'm going to get done for the day. I got it kind of mocked up down there where it points out. And then I got it teed there, runs all the way up under there, goes to another T right there, goes to the number 1 port on the Mac valve. That side of the T goes to the bottom of the wastegate, and then the number 2 side of the Mac valve goes to the top side of the wastegate, and that'll give me, I can use that as a boost controller. So it's all coming together. We're getting things hooked up. I just got to get the wastegate tied into the exhaust pipe. When we get the wastegate tied in and we wrap all this up, I got to finish welding that, making that nice and pretty, because it's just tacked together at the moment. And well, then the exhaust will be done. Then I'll have to cut some of the radiator support out, and we're going to mount the radiator in there kind of like at an angle, so that way it don't get into the way of the exhaust. Because I mean, I ran it close over here to the, as I could, to the transmission, and that's where the wideband's going to be. I got to weld the bung on there, but I just got to get that a little bit bigger. But it's coming together. Hopefully here soon I'll be able to crank it up. When I get the exhaust done, get all that done, get the intake back on it, and get the last bit of wiring hooked up to it, and we'll actually be able to fire this thing up and hear what it sounds like before we actually get the charge pipe on it, because I need to fire it up and break it in without any boost going to it. So hopefully here very, very soon, when I get this exhaust done, we'll be firing this thing up.